A night full of surprises at the NBA draft. I'm Dan Harris, joined on the phone by Yahoo Sports' Greg Anthony. Greg, a lot of interesting moments in the 2013 draft. What surprised you the most?
Well, the pleasant surprise was probably Anthony Bennett going one. Listen, I thought he was going to be a top 4 or 5 pick, and that was surprising that he ended up going one. The other surprise for me was Ben McLemore dropping all the way down to 7. I really thought he might be, along with Bennett, the two guys that had the most upside because they're highly skilled as well as being terrific athletes. So that's something that you really want. And you also want guys, at the end of the day, that can actually score the basketball. You look at all the great players in this league, for the most part, the one common thread is that they can score. And when you're trying to build around players, you got to have that. So those are the two things that were a bit surprising. But, hey, hell, there were others. That was just a wild night all around, really, when you look at the draft. And I thought it created a lot of excitement and buzz, particularly in a year where there was, maybe not as much excitement because you didn't have a lot of guys that people thought could be franchise caliber players.
Now, Nerlens Noel was a projected number 1 at one point. He also fell out of the top 5 along with McLemore. What do you think happened there?
That one to me wasn't a surprise because I didn't think he was one of the 5 top talents coming out. I like Nerlens Noel. Listen, there's a combination of things. One, you have the injury. That in and of itself is always going to be a concern, although not as big a concern for me because it wasn't something that lingered. That was just an actual injury that occurred from him trying to block a shot. And at his age, you would expect he'll fully recover. I think the bigger concern, though, is the fact that, one, again, while he does have tremendous skill defensively, and his motor, I felt, was the best of anybody coming out, ultimately the fact that from an offensive standpoint, he didn't have terrific instincts, and he is so unpolished in that aspect that, it could take such a long time before he ever develops that skill, if he ever develops it. But having said all of that, in the right scenario, he's a guy that can end up being much like Tyson Chandler was, who was a 4th pick when he came out and has had a pretty solid NBA career, being a Defensive Player of the Year, and obviously has won a world championship. So I think Nerlens Noel's future is still really bright. I just didn't think that with this draft that he's the kind of guy you might want to take the chance of taking number 1.
All right, well, I suppose only time will tell. Thanks, Greg. This is Yahoo Sports.